For the first time, I see person when this guy of Channels TV interview for 2 minutes 30 seconds, no interruption. Kenneth Okonkwo carry Seun sit down. Seun abi Seun for those of una wey be for Yoruba. Seun and Seun dey resemble for face. Kenneth carry this guy sit down, put am for clear. Come be like who dey teach, who dey teach. Seun will just open ear, dey lis ten to am when he dey talk. I never see this kind thing before. Seun wanna know if he dey interview you. Before you go talk on 1 minute, he don interrupt you. He don dey wan confuse your destiny. He don wan confuse you just to put words for your mouth. But Kenneth Okonkwo confuse this guy. No, not be say he confuse am. I put am for guy called the school am. He school on the 7-point agenda of Peter Obi. They tell am the way Peter Obi take cripple insecurity for Anambra State when he be governor. Those of una wey see where Kenneth Okonkwo dey lecture Seun, dey tell am things wey he suppose know. Dey differentiate between Peter Obi, Atiku and Tinubu. Watch the video first.
Tell you about Peter Obi's 7-point agenda. 1. Securing and uniting Nigeria. 2. Effective legal and institutional reforms. 3. Production-centered growth for food security. 4. Leapfrogging Nigeria out of oil dependency to the 4th industrial revolution. 5. Human capital development for effective competitiveness. 6. Expanding physical infrastructure through market-driven reforms. 7. Robust foreign policy that will restore Nigerians' strategic relevance in international community. In all these things, they are the things he did and he had done as the governor of Anambra State. Recall, when he was in Anambra State, insecurity was so removed that the IG of police then, Mohammed, said within 5 years of Obi regime, no successful bank robbery took place. None. It's on record. The kidnapper, Evans, ran away from Anambra State. And he said Obi security tactic chased him away. Obi was the first person who started demolishing any home that is owned by kidnappers. And you know what? He said he is going to implement this thing through 3-level policing: federal, state, and community. He used the community vigilante. He was one of the governors that did it. Obi inherited, via Chiu, the first governor of Anambra State PDP. He was the only governor in PDP that was not returned because of his maladministration. Chiu Kemba didn't do. So, Gige had a stopgap. And after that, Obi came in. So he inherited terrible Anambra State that was coming last in WAEC through human capital development. Within 2 years, Anambra State started coming first in WAEC. So can you imagine? We had APC that inherited foreign currency, and they are now coming last in the world. I said they have failed us 735% of the time. Then Obi inherited an educational system that was last and catapulted it to second, so first, within 2-3 years.
And I'd like to ask you this. So those who will question, because the capacity of Mr. Peter Obi, if you put him on the same pedestal with some of his opponents or some of his fellow contestants in the race, for example, look at least 3 or 4 of them have been former governors of their states. Robbie Musokonkunso was a former governor of Kano State. Bola Tinubu, a former governor of Lagos State. Peter Obi, a former governor of Anambra State. Atiku Abubakar was elected but became a vice president eventually. So they talk about their profile, their track record when they were governors, and those who will say, oh, Peter Obi that you're talking about, under him, you talk about education system in Nigeria, under him there was a strike and on ending for about 13 months or thereabout. These are question marks that have been raised about the capacity of Mr. Peter Obi, and to think that those who have argued also that, look, A state governing a state is a different kettle of fish entirely to handling a very complex Nigeria.
Very good. I am going to talk about this, just citing what other people have said. The spokesperson of APC came here and he told you Peter Obi is better than Atiku. And the reason is because Peter Obi was in a position to take executive decisions and Atiku has never been. So that's settled. When you talk about Tinubu, you just say former governor. He has not held any other post except former governor. Good. He was there for 8 years. Peter Obi was governor for 8 years. So when you talk about capacity, to be very respectful to these gentlemen, they are men of desperation. They are not men of destination. At 80 years, what can they offer? You cannot foist a disunited party on a disunited country to collapse.
For those who think that Peter Obi belonged to that same political class, he was a former PDP. Now he left. I mean, how would you define Peter Obi if you say, would you say that Peter Obi is cut from different cloth?
All right.
Because he was a former PDP member.
Okay.
Now, and you've criticized PDP.
Very good. I wish you were sitting here and I'm sitting here and I'll ask you some very tough questions. When he was in PDP, did he, by any means, occupy any executive position for which he took any decision? None. I was in PDP, entered APC, and I'm in Labour. He was the governor of Anambra State, APGA. He entrenched APGA so much in Anambra State through good governance that even he himself could no longer uproot APGA. You can imagine that level of good governance. That Anambra State became sentimentally attached to APGA because of the foundation of governance that Peter Obi built.
And I see the way Seun sit down, they listen to lecture. Oh, now they pity for Dino Melaye and Keyamu. They don't meet their match. You understand? They don't meet their match. Seun now, I know say subsequently when Seun won interview Kenneth Okonkwo, I know say he go know the way he go take plan himself. So that I no go fall in hand. Meanwhile, this Kenneth Okonkwo, since he come up for APC, he come be like a bird when they release. You understand? He come be like when he did APC before. They tire, you know, if he talk. But now he just gain his freedom. So he just show capacity. Guy, you put am for Seun body. I like the way you position the grammar. You see the way you position the grammar, the position there. One, you know they already talking one after the other. You know the position there. Meh. Are you too much? You understand? We just want to make made Labour Party just make the spokesperson now. We no say Keyamu and Dino don't meet their match. Because Keyamu now people don't hear that charge of a lawyer and I can't be that.